It's finally officially fall, and fall is my favorite of all the things, including makeup. So earlier I put a poll up in Instagram stories as to what tone of fall makeup did you want to see? Because I live between like brown neutrals, berries, and even some reds, even though the reds kind of take me more into the end of fall, beginning of winter. And the request was for neutral brown makeup. So that is what we are going to do today. I have my swatch arms ready to go for you. So we'll do some lip and cheeks, blah, 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 lip and cheeks, maybe some pencils, some eyeshadows, and I will show you somewhere between a simple and maybe just a little bit of an elevated fall look. So let's dig into that right now. And if you do like this sort of video and you want to see one that leans more red or one that leans more berry toned, just drop that down in the comments below and we will be sure to get that over to you. Now, you do have to bear with me. I just had a tooth pulled 2 days ago in the back of my mouth. So I feel like I'm swallowing a lot. So if I seem a little weird, don't judge me. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to primarily use the Pilot brush, but I am gonna start with the detail brush because I wanted to do a little bit of underpainting. So when we underpaint, we're just grabbing our contour and starting to frame the face from underneath our foundation. And the reason that I like to do that is I like a chiseled look. I like a little definition to the face, but sometimes I want it to be soft and kind of just show through the makeup versus putting it on top. Plus, it helps people really understand like where product goes on the face. My favorite brush to contour with is hands down the detail brush because it has this like knife edge where you can pat into the pressure. Our contours are going to be a little bit drier. They are meant to be that way versus a creamier formulation. And there's nothing wrong with either, but because our contour provides coverage, I prefer this formulation because it goes where I want it to go and it stays. But you do have to tap into the tin a little bit harder than you traditionally would with some of our other products because it is drier. Now, when I pounce it on the face, which I go from the back of the ear to the outer corner of the eye, and I'm hugging that cheekbone, pounce, pounce, and then I flick up for lift, it stays where I put it and it gives coverage. Now I am still gonna color correct in the areas where I have discoloration, redness, dark under eyes, anywhere that you see kind of this excess color in the skin, I'm just gonna do that as my second step as opposed to my first. Now I'm going underneath the jawline, so back of the ear, underneath the jawline, hitting this divot and pulling back so that there's no harsh lines, but this is just going to help define that jawline. Really, when you're highlighting and contouring, which is the purpose of having all of your makeup in this one palette, it's all the same formulation, it all plays well together. When you're highlighting and contouring, you're taking your face from one-dimensional to looking more like it naturally does when you don't have makeup on. Like when I don't have makeup on, I have lots of dimension to the skin. And oftentimes when we put a foundation or a skin tint on top, we lose some of that natural definition that we have on the cheekbone. This will help a large forehead look a little bit smaller. It will help jowled areas pull back a little bit. And then even you can pull it right here down the neck to help create more of a defined neckline as well as this jawline. I'm gonna do nose contour, lip contour, things like that afterwards with my pencils. It's my new favorite thing to do. They stay placed, but they still blend. It's amazing. So we're just starting with a little bit of underpainting. And again, contour first. Now I'm gonna go into my Pilot brush and show you guys all the different ways that you can use. The Pilot brush is the new 4-in-1. First of all, it's black. If we could release a whole line of black brushes, your girl would be thrilled. I think they're so beautiful. But this allows you to do your entire face and makeup, whether it's face, eyes, whatever you want it to be, all in one brush because there are 2 little brushes hidden inside. Now, I like to use these as somebody who color corrects. I have my color correcting shade right here. I like to use the small end to reduce the discoloration that you see right here on the face. So I'm using that small end and just kind of buffing this in to where you see excess color. If you have hypopigmentation, if you're lacking color, this could also be used to fill. So like you'll see right here, I look lighter than the rest of the face. So I'm doing both a little bit of filling and a little bit of neutralizing, and I'm starting with the small end just in these smaller areas. And then I'll go ahead and use the bigger end for this area of my cheek here, just because it takes less time. But I like in small places to have a smaller brush. You can do this with the blend brush, the small end of that detail brush that I just showed you, or something like the spot brush works amazing as well. So any of those brushes, but if you are somebody who would like to be able to do your entire face with one brush, the Pilot brush will do it. Or if when you're traveling, less is more, you can put this in your carry-on. This is TSA approved. So you could take one brush and your palette and literally be good to go. Because the way I build my palette is, this is my face products, highlight and contour, a little bit of bronzer. I like to do a row of lip and cheeks, and then I have a little area here for eyeshadows. You can do a much smaller compact and still achieve the same thing. I am clearly just a makeup girl who likes versatility, and I prefer, this is called the 27 because it fits 27 full-size tins of makeup. All right, so these are the small areas. And we are done. I have a little bit of discoloration around my nose. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just going to pop the larger end right back on. And I'm gonna go back into this tin, which again, I said this the other day, I need to melt this down so that it distributes across a little bit easier. But you can use every ounce of product that you have. So right now I'm just kind of working that corner in there, and then I'm going to stipple this onto the redness on my face. Is this a mandatory step to color correct? No. But do I think for me, as somebody who wants kind of the highest performance of their makeup, what I'm looking at is if I were just to use this one highlight shade, these are sheer. They are not like full coverage right out the gate. So if I put that on my skin and expect it to evenly color or evenly cover every color the same, that's not realistic because it is more sheer. It's not a full coverage double wear sort of deal, okay? So I'm just doing a little bit of that color correction where I want it so that it neutralizes things back down to kind of baseline. I'm gonna go ahead and take that other end here and press a little bit more where you see this hyperpigmentation. And now the areas of my face that I want to add what would be considered my foundation, they're all the same color. So I can do that, press, 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 with much greater ease and way less product because I don't need to try and put a whole bunch of this on in areas where I have discoloration to match. I've already matched my skin tone by color correcting. And right now I'm pressing underneath that contour on both sides. And because I color corrected, I don't want to do this because then I'm just gonna mix the colors. And my goal isn't to mix them. I want each color to do its job. Color correction, go where I put ya. Main highlight, go where I put ya, which is now right over top. And you'll see we just have this soft contour, this little bit of chisel popping through. So now I'm going on this side, making sure my contour matches on both sides. I'm gonna press this on top of the nose. My color correcting highlight is Mango right now. It's based on the depth of discoloration, which is why you want to get a custom color match. So if you need a match, just comment that below. You can head to the description. We'll make sure that the box is accessible for you and I can let you know what your color corrector would be. You'll send me a makeup-free selfie and I will actually draw on your face based on what you tell me your skin concerns are, where your colors go, so that you have kind of an application guide. I will pick out your color corrector and your main highlight shade. So now everything matches. I'll help you with your contour because we want our contour to be a little bit ashier. But if we have a lot of redness, there are certain contours that are going to exacerbate redness and ones that won't. If you don't have a lot of redness and maybe you're olive undertoned, we have different contours for that. So that's my job, is to help you with that part. So right now we have kind of fresh, glowy, everything feels pretty neutralized. I'm gonna go ahead and use my cream correctors. These used to be called Demi. So sometimes you'll hear me refer to them as Demi correctors. I'm gonna pop this brush off, and somebody asked a good question. How do you get the excess product off the brush? With creams, these are meant to sit on top of the bristles. they're not going to penetrate the bristles like a liquid would. So once I press this onto the skin, it's pretty much gone. So you can use the same brush for multiple things because you have very little product. Now, I keep a microfiber cloth on my lap just because if I get too much or I want to make sure that if I'm going from contour to like maybe a concealer shade, there's no mixing, but you'll see there's very minimal product coming off. And if you need a deeper clean on the go, like you need to use your brush right away, this brush cleaning spray, you can spray it. Hi guys, you can spray it right on here. You can wipe your brush and within minutes, your brush will be dry and ready to go. That's one of the really cool things about the brush cleaning spray. You don't have to wait to use it. And obviously it sanitizes and does all of that. So I'm gonna go ahead into the smaller end right here. And I'm gonna go into 03. And all I'm gonna do in lieu of a brightener shade today is hit this trough, tap right here on the eye. And I'm going to further reduce. Sorry, I just got distracted. There's a turkey in my backyard. Well, that I wasn't expecting. And there's a window in front of me. I film in front of natural light so that you can see what the makeup actually looks like. Obviously, never any filters or anything like that. But I feel like natural light gives you the most accurate color. So if I'm doing swatches and whatnot and trying to help you pick shades, you can see them as they really are. So I just use a little bit of cream corrector in that area to further neutralize a little bit of that discoloration in the trough. And that's it. It's that easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this back on here. And we're gonna go, should we do, for the sake of showing you the brush, okay? I'm going kind of bigger end. Brightener shade. You could go into your T-zone if you wanted to also brighten the center of the face. The purpose of highlight and contour, we want contour on the perimeter to recede, to pull back and sculpt. We want brightness in the center of the face to draw the attention towards your eyes. That's the purpose of highlighting and contouring, to keep things from being one dimension and making them multi-dimensional, which actually will look more natural than just kind of a flat face of makeup. So even when I wear a skin tint, I did recently purchase a foundation just to see what all the hype was about. I haven't tried it yet, but I'll let you guys know when I do. I will still be somebody that will contour and add some sort of brightener or concealer if there's one that I like, which I haven't found yet. But I did buy one from RMS. You guys will have to let me know. Have you guys tried anything from Rosemary Swift's brand? It's supposed to be like a gel concealer. I have it around here somewhere. Today's not the day to try it. I haven't opened the package yet. That's my Achilles heel, is I buy stuff to try it and then I know it just sits there. Okay, so we are highlighted, we are contoured, we did a little bit of brightness under the eye. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my eyeshadow primer. This is the MAC Paint Pot, and you're gonna watch right in front of your eyes. Not only is this going to help with longevity, but do you see how my eye looks a little bit discolored here? A little bit red, a little bit purple. This is gonna bring this back to neutral, which is going to help when you put on your eyeshadows, they're gonna look true to the color in the tin. Some days I have really, really purple. I can't get myself to buy anything that isn't Saint because it's not easy, right? Like it just, once you figure out, here's like my story. I was a makeup girly forever, but I had really, really good skin growing up. I barely I can't say this anymore, but I barely ever had a pimple. Like I was a very blessed child. I'm gonna powder, and I pretty much just wore powder on my face to like neutralize the skin and played with every other makeup under the sun. Well, after I had kids, I started to get some pretty significant rosacea, hyperpigmentation, different spots came out. It was so fun. Then I had a massive hormonal acne breakout that led to a ton of scarring and whatnot. And powder, one, when you get fine lines and wrinkles, powder can be a little rough on the skin, okay? Cream stays emollient, it stays hydrated. The more hydrated your fine lines and wrinkles are, the better they look, right? So after I tried powder, I went in and I started trying foundations, and I didn't know anything, honestly, about foundation. I was not good at matching myself, but I will tell you what I really disliked was when I would put it on, it felt like makeup, and it dried down, meaning like at some point it would get dry on the face and then it would get like cracky. Like in here, it would start to feel like it was cracking. And I was like, not worth it for coverage. Like it just didn't feel natural. And I've always been a very natural makeup wearer. But I would try any blush, bronzer, anything like that under the sun. That's when I found Saint. And the thing is, I like to still experiment with makeup because if there are good products to go along with this, or if there's ever something better, I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm going to replace what I'm doing, but I continue to come back to this foundation because it never lets me down. Even when I experiment with skin tints, which I like plenty of them, I still contour. I still like having everything in one palette, and I know this all works together. Does that make sense? So now I'm like experimenting to see what else is out there, to see what else I can play with, because when makeup wasn't working anymore, I got rid of everything. There was a point in time where all I had was Saint because it was the only thing that would help with my discoloration and my hormonal acne breakouts. And now that that has kind of, I mean, the discoloration is still strong, but now that the hormonal acne has subsided and I've kind of gotten excited to play with makeup again, I have been buying all sorts of stuff that at some point I'll remember to show you guys. We'll start doing things more frequently now that my kids are back in school, on these lives and whatnot. This is Cappuccino, by the way. Love her. But I love finding products that pair with it. But I will tell you this, when I need my makeup to look good, I always just reach for Saint. It's easy. It works. I get the most compliments when I'm wearing it. I know exactly how to do it. And I'm sure some of the other products are like, if I used them as frequently as I would use Saint, I would know better how to get like the different looks that I want. But I'm kind of like, now that my complexion issue is fixed, now I feel really safe trying different cream bronzers, powder bronzers, lip and cheeks, like all those things are so much more fun again because I know I can always get the complexion right. So when you say other things just aren't easy, man, there have been some times where I put stuff on and I'm like, oh, you want to talk about cake face. There is something to learning how it all works, right? Okay, brows are on. We lifted them up, colored the discolored, remove the discoloration from the eyes, set them with powder so that my powder shadows are going to blend well. And then I did a little cappuccino in the brow to frame the face, which will help your eyes look bigger. And if you have a hooded eye like I do, meaning this hood covers this crease, the more lid space you can get by lifting and framing your face, the more you're gonna like your eyeshadow look because you're gonna be able to see it a little bit more. So let's talk bronzer. So I think our best neutral bronzer is gonna be Bella, okay? So this is Bella. It doesn't pull too warm, doesn't pull too cool. It's the first one we had. They nailed it with, like, she is the girl. If there is one bronzer that you want to try, it'll work with every skin tone because it can be built up. It is more sheer. Now, to each their own, and different depths of skin are going to require different types of bronzer. This one is Xanadu. It's going to be a little bit warmer because it contains a mixture of Bella and Glow Illuminator. Also beautiful. It's like my ride or die in the summer. But you'll see in my palette, I mix Bella and Glow together like all the time anyways. So Xanadu is great, but it will be a little bit warmer, like right out the gate. If you have a deeper skin tone than I do, and right now my main shade is Hazel, so I can still see Bella, but as I get any more tan, typically the base shade that I would use is going to be High Tide, which is going to be warmer and it's going to help show up on a deeper skin tone. It has a little bit more depth to it. It is still sheer. It is warm, but there is going to be a little more to it. For those of you that like your bronzer to have more of a red undertone, this one is going to be Heat Waves. And this one actually makes a beautiful fall cheek color. If you are at my skin depth or lighter, it's going to have more of that brick color to it. The deepest of skin tones usually prefers somewhere between this or Xanadu mixed in with one of these. Total preference. Now for my lighter ladies, if bronzer scares you and you think Bella is just too dark, this is Tan Lines. So this would be for those of you that are like candlelight or less, that don't want all that much to your bronzer. This is going to be tan lines. It's very much a neutral. You'll see Bella has a little bit more warmth. It is very neutral. This really would not show up on my skin tone right now, but I can mix it with any number of things. So these are going to be your bronzer options. And the nice thing about bronzer is it adds warmth. Like, don't be scared of bronzer. If you don't want to contour, you can still sculpt the face with your bronzer. It's not going to be the same sort of definition. It's really going to be sculpting with warmth. And some people really prefer that. So for my easy peasy girls, what I typically match mature skin women to that want the simplest routine is a color corrector for their areas of concern, a main highlight shade, which serves as their foundation, a bronzer to sculpt and add warmth all in one, and a lip and cheek. And that can be your entire routine, is those 4 shades right there. Obviously that can all be done with this one brush. So right now, this is Bella and Glow mixed in the palette, which is the same as Xanadu, but I will say, I think it is not as warm on the skin because I'm kind of controlling the portions more, and I go a little heavier on the Bella and a little bit less on the Glow Illuminator, but I love the finish. And we could be done right there if we want it to be. You can pull down the neck. If you feel like you need to add a little bit of warmth to the neck to stay matching, you could go along your jawline. If you feel like there's a discrepancy, this is very sheer. Before we go into any further product around here, before I add eyeshadow, I'm gonna go ahead and use my Perfector sponge. This, for me, is a non-negotiable, like at any point, because it does really remove excess. And that is my number one issue, is I don't want things sitting in fine lines and wrinkles. I don't want excess makeup on the skin. I want this to look natural. And I had somebody who's Saint Artist decided they were no longer going to be a Saint Artist. She found me on YouTube. And the first thing we did was get her a color corrector and implement the Perfector. And she said it was like Photoshop for her face. Do you see the excess that's being pulled off? Some of that is my bronzer. Typically I do this before bronzer, but I forgot because bronzer is sheer. So it doesn't add coverage like the other products do. So we'll probably need to add a little bit more back to the cheeks because it is more inclined to pull off with this. But it also is going to like soften everything under the eyes. So this, for mature skin, he said, Bella is the secret to covering my vitiligo when I don't want to color correct in the summer. 100%. So I recently did a video on the different ways to correct underneath the eyes. And one of the secrets is, if you are somebody who doesn't have a lot of darkness under the eyes, but you are actually void of color, which is the same thing that happens with vitiligo, is that you are void of pigment. So you have, like, let's say you have a lot of light under the eye and it feels like it's standing out against your skin. You can put a little bit of Bella underneath the eye, very sheer, to bridge the gap between the rest of your face and your under eye, and then you can brighten over top of that. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to color correct and you have vitiligo, you can bridge the gap because Bella is so sheer and adds just enough warmth to start going from that vitiligo depth of color, which is more white based, to matching the rest of your skin. And all of us do have some yellow in our skin, even the fairest of us. But there are other tricks if you are very, very fair. Like if you're that like pearl white fair, you know, we can chat. So let me just replace or add where I may have pulled off some color here. And before I finish my under eye, we're going to do our eyeshadow in case I get any fallout. So this is what I've had in my palette for like a month. I moved on to fall makeup in like August because as soon as I see one leaf changing, I'm like, give me browns and berries. So I'm going to swatch just a couple of really simple neutral shades for you, some that are cool, some that are warm, and we will do a simple eye look. So let's start with Basic. Basic is a great matte shade. It is neutral, cool leaning, and you can carve out the eye with this. This is Cafe, which is going to be even a little bit more cool toned. Again, great for carving out the eye. I always contour my eye out first because with a hooded eye, I need to create some definition right here. And these are the shades that I would do it with. Now, if you are a lover of warm tones like I am, the ideal shade from our neutrals to do that with would be Bella. So we have Basic, Cafe, and Bella, which are great starter shades to carve out your eye. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Bella. Here, why don't we just let's go back to the pilot brush and I will show you. I will pop these ends off. I'm gonna go bigger of the two small ends. Don't even need to wipe it off from before because I know I really don't have any excess there. And I'm gonna go up. See where this eye's open? It looks like it's floating when I go like this, but because my crease is hidden, if I go straight into the crease, you're not gonna see it. So if you have a hooded eye, start carving out your eye with your eye open above the crease. Then you can open your eye and get it into the crease because we obviously don't want a floating line. But if I just do the crease, as soon as I look down, you won't see it up here anymore. Tap, tap. I'm gonna press a little bit into the outer corner and we are going to do this circular motion just to get a good blend. Up into the crease, onto the base of the hood, blend with the corner of the eye. And all I'm doing is carving out the eye. For somebody who is a simple eyeshadow girl, if I've color corrected my lid and I do this, there's no reason why I can't just be done. Now I like to add a little bit more color, but if you are a one and done lid shade sort of girl, carve out your eye, get above the crease, onto the hood, then get in the crease, tap a little bit into the outer corner, make sure it blends well in. And remember, we did powder over top of our eyeshadow primer to make sure that we could blend. And you could throw on some mascara and you could be done. And you could do that with any of these shades, whether your preference is cool or warm. Basic, Cafe, and Bubba. Obviously there are more, but these are kind of the staples for getting a palette started. Oh, another one that's actually really lovely that pulls in some green is Bird. So that's another great one for step one. I like to break my eyeshadow into 4 steps. Carve out the eye, add a lid shade, depth in the outer corner, and then underneath the brow and on the tear duct. So we'll follow kind of that same pattern today, but we're still gonna keep it neutral, like every day, and then you could kind of take it up from there. So we've carved it out. I'm gonna show you a couple of lid shades that are beautiful for the fall. This is Hot Cocoa. It's a warm, shimmery brown. Then we got rid of so many shades that now I feel like I'm getting confused as to which ones we have. This one is Bright Eyes. This one is going to be more golden. So you'll see the difference between Hot Chocolate and Bright Eyes. For those of you that prefer something in the peach family, Ride or Die, I love me some Crush. And those are gonna make beautiful lid shades. If you are completely wanting a neutral and you just wanna pop your lid out, add a little bit of Drift. So for today, I think I'm gonna go Hot Cocoa, which is this shade right here. And I like to use my finger, and I like to press on for step 2 onto the lid. So I carved out the lid with Bubba for step 1. Carved out the eye. I'm going to press on, and the reason I press on is because I like the color payoff and I get less fallout. If I use a brush, it's gonna be lighter, so less color payoff, which is a matter of preference. But also as I'm sweeping with a shimmer, then I tend to get fallout underneath until I press this onto the lid. And if you have a mature eye, you can absolutely use a shimmer. Keep it on the mobile lid versus up in this area, and it will actually pop your lid out and make it look larger. Where we run into issues if you have a lot of texture or if you have like a heavier hood is when you get shimmers up into this area, it will actually make your hood look heavier. So just something to think about. I'm gonna go back in and just make sure that my blend is there. Bubba, pressed back in. The key to any eye look looking seamless is just to make sure you fully blend it. So I'm above the crease and in the crease, pressing onto the outer corner. Step 1 and step 2 of what I consider like kind of my 4-step process. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna swatch a couple of the deeper shades for you for some outer corner buildup when you're thinking fall. So this is Cocoa. Cocoa is going to be in our browns. This is Revival, which is going to have a little bit more of a purple base. And then we also, no, I lied. That's not, yes, that is, geez Louise. And then we have Oak, which is going to be cooler. So for my cool toned folks, you have something that you can build up your outer corner. You have Cocoa, Revival, and Oak. I think for today, why don't we just stick with cocoa and kind of hang out in that brown family. So I'm gonna go the smaller end of the pilot brush here. And I'm just gonna press in that outer corner. And all I'm doing is building up color. And this would be step 3. I'm gonna flip this over, and I'm just gonna do these small circular motions. We can clean up the outside of the eye. So if you kind of get out here, no big deal. Typically, we want our eyeshadow to go from the outer corner of the eye to the outer corner of the brow. But I'm just using this edge to blend up into that crease just to get a little bit of continuity. And now we've deepened up that outer corner. And I am gonna make sure, because I'm gonna go in. We love a purple over here, girl. I know you do. We can do a berry look next. We'll do some purples in our next one. Okay, I'm gonna wipe off any excess. You can do that with the brush cleaning tile as well, which is this guy right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take that drift shade, which is this one right here. And that's what I'm gonna use for like finishing touches, which I would consider like step 4. I'm gonna go under the brow, just to give the illusion of a more lifted brow. Again, just creating what looks like more lid space where I don't have it. And then I'm gonna take this in the inner tear duct and I'm gonna pull it up into this crevice right here, just to lighten up the inner corner of the eye. The lighter we go on the inner corner, the more open the eye is gonna look. That's why we keep our darker shades to the outer corner. And it will kind of give you that almond, like upturned sort of look. And that's it. If you ever feel like, so for me, as somebody who has warm undertones, I like cooler shades on the lid, but sometimes they look foreign on my face. Do you ever put something on and you feel like it doesn't like sit on the skin the way that you want it to? It almost looks like it doesn't belong, like it's trying to repel off your face. Sometimes that will happen if you have warmer skin and use cooler shades or do an entire like cool eye look. You could do something as simple of, if you have these cooler shades on, add warmth to the crease, or you could take like a setting powder and just soften that edge so that there's less discrepancy in tone between where your makeup ends and like where your eye, the skin color of your eye begins, and we're just kind of softening things up. That's it. I'm gonna grab, let's stick with this end right here, and I'm gonna go back into my brightening shade, and I'm gonna go ahead outer corner up to that outer corner of the brow, and I'm gonna clean up that edge. I'm gonna keep my eyeshadow looking sharp, if you will, but also if we get the makeup down here, it pulls the eye down. So we want to keep it kind of pulled up here, and then I'm just gonna soften that right there. And that's it. To stick with the browns, go ahead and, how are you guys today? Doing good? All right, so stick with the browns. I'm gonna use a little bit of, let's see, I think cinnamon as an eyeliner today. It's a warm brown. It's really pretty. It's very easy to work with. The cinnamon is one of the silks, okay? 2 different formulations of the pencils, satin and silk. Both will blend. The silks have like budge-proof longevity, where your satins are gonna be more smudgy, and it's a matter of preference. Like if I'm using a traditional lip liner, I like mine to smudge because a harsh line on my lip sometimes exacerbates like the texture of my lip. I like to contour with something that stays and is cooler. So I'm just gonna take cinnamon, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna add this to the outer corner. I'm kind of smudging in between the lashes because I don't have a lot of lid space. So this is gonna help with definition without compromising lid space. And then I'm gonna go underneath. And do you see how we're just going to add some definition to the eye? Make our lashes look fuller once we do them. And now I'm gonna go ahead and take Here's my etch brush. My etch brush is, that's not it, floating around here somewhere, so we will use the line spoolie brush. Where are you at, etch brush? No, that's for another day. And I'm just going to make sure that this is a little bit taut. I'm going to go ahead and smudge that into the lash line and connect. And I'm going to kind of diffuse this as I head in, but now we've added to that little bit of definition to the eye without losing lid space. Make sure this is diffused. And then I'm going to go back to my eyeshadow. And I'm going to go ahead and set that with, we have some bubba on the eye, so I'll go ahead and just set that. I'm also setting my under eye in the process of doing this and adding definition. So we have two lids, okay? We have our top mobile lid and we have our bottom lid right here. You don't have to put eyeliner all the way across that bottom part if you feel like it's too harsh, which on me, it does look pretty harsh. You can use your neutral matte that you carved out the eye and any sort of eyeliner pencil, any of Saint's pencils, literally a matter of preference, and just kind of get into that outer corner on the lash line to add more definition without shrinking down the eye by bringing like a black liner all the way in. There's a time and a place for it, and if you like it, go for it. But if you feel like it ages you, then this is an alternative for you. Just adding a little bit of my Vanilla Dust setting powder, and this is gonna help prevent any transfer of mascara to the cream. I do use a tubing mascara, so that's not an issue that I really have, but I know with cream being emollient, if your lashes are tapping underneath or you've set it with like a pencil that's not long wearing, you might have some transfer, so you can just add a little bit of Vanilla Dust with your brush, or you can set it with like traditionally with the powder puff. Let's go ahead. I want to show you some lip and cheeks, and we will finish off with mascara, curling the lashes, and all that when we're done. But no look is complete without my favorite, which is lip and cheeks. So let's talk fall, okay? In my palette right now, I have several of just my general favorites, but today's request was for like browns, okay? So I'm going to show you Sandstone, which is definitely a very popular fall shade. You'll see it has that brick color to it. My favorite, now for some people, this would be too warm, okay? We do want to add some life to the cheeks, so don't be afraid of color. But if you feel like something like this, you put it on and it's too warm, think of color theory. If it's too warm, I want to add a cool shade in. One of my favorite shades in general is nude. But when you mix these, you get like the perfect fall brown. And that's what I'm going to put on today. It's what I wore to a wedding last weekend, and then I will swatch some other great fall shades for you in the neutral family. So typically I swatch it on the back of my hand. I'm running out of hand space, so I'm just kind of going back and forth here. I'm going to make sure I have a good blend. And then I'm going to go outer corner. 2 fingers away from the nose, up to the outer corner of the eye. And I like to add a little bit up here for continuity. Go back into my swatch here, 2 fingers away from the nose, up that contour line, a little bit of continuity. And now I have like my version of a brick that feels very natural on the face. If you wanted to cool it down even more, you just go back into your nude, which has more of a purple base to it. And you can add a little bit more. That's the cool thing about having multiple shades in your palette, is you get to play like a makeup artist. I am going to grab a different brush because I don't feel like opening that one again right now. And I'm going to go to my brightener and I'm going to diffuse this line right here just by tapping on and softening that. Soften it right here. This would also be a time that I could just wipe the top of this off. I mean, there's barely anything on there as it is. But I could grab my microfiber cloth, I could wipe it off, and I could do this same process here. All right, let's finish our contour, and then I'm gonna add some powder under the eyes so I don't get creasing. My new go-to, which I'm so literally happy about, you guys, is Chai. This is a cool toned pencil. You could also use Pepper if you want something that's even more forgiving than this one, but like literally this is so good. And I'm gonna do a little bit under the lip for lip contour, a little bit up here. And I'm just blending it. All I want is to make my lips look a little bit bigger. And then I'm gonna show you, it's so hard to do it in the camera, how you can do 2 lines down the nose. You want them to be as straight as possible, which is my Achilles heel with shaky hands. Up into the brow, underneath, and then you're just gonna blend it. You can even just take one of your like smudge brushes. You could go back into the Pilot brush, blend this up into the brow to keep this 2 strips down the nose. The closer your strips are together, the thinner your nose is gonna look. But there's one more step to a nose contour, okay? So 2 down, underneath if you wanna give your nose that upturned look. And now, equally if not more important, is to go to your brightener and brighten the outside of that nose contour line so that when you're sideways, you don't see stripes, okay? Soften it with my finger. And I'm gonna go down the center of the nose. And then just to make sure that everything is blended, where's my perfector? I don't know, so we're just gonna tap. Tap to make sure that everything is blended. And now you have a slimmer nose. I love it so much. I'm so glad. It's just easier for me to use that pencil than it ever was to stamp on a contour, so I just didn't do it as frequently before. And now I love it. I'm gonna take this side of the Pilot brush. I'm gonna go ahead and set my under eye. Make sure you don't have any creasing to start, or you're just gonna be setting creases. But this is going to, you see how that diffuses that out? Press it into anywhere that you wanna set. This is not self-setting. So if you want to reduce some of the glow, if you want to set in areas that you're prone to creasing, you can do that. If you like, or if you're oily in your T-zone, or you feel like this is where you really shine the most. Someone's in my house. It seems early for my kids. Hopefully it's my husband. Joe? All right, just making sure that's you. Okay, we're good to go. All right, I got distracted. What were we gonna do? Oh, I was gonna curl my lashes. I wanna try, I got this Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Liquid Blurring Balm Setting Spray. So what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to give you a mattifying finish without looking dry. So you'll hear with something like this, there's a ball in it, so you want to shake it up. You do want to prime it, which means like make sure that, okay, there we go. It's a very fine mister, which is my friend. And then go ahead and be generous. It smells good, it smells fresh. It's very pretty. It didn't leave any splotches. I'm kind of a setting spray snob. You want your setting spray to have film formers for longevity. You want a fixate spray to be for hydration. So this is for longevity. Saint's Fixate setting spray is for hydration, to melt powders, but it doesn't help with longevity. It helps with the actual physical look of the makeup, not with the staying power of the makeup. So what they say to do after you spray it, give it a minute, is then take a powder puff where you want, and you can add some pressure. Oh, you see that? And it's supposed to mattify in those areas. So I want to continue to have glow here, but look at the difference here. Ooh. Wowzers. I'm first impression. Very, very happy with that. So it definitely is not drying, and it allows me to have glow here and a little bit more of a satiny matte finish there. I would say it's a huge win. Okay, let me go ahead. Oh boy, we're gonna need to, I gotta get my swatch arm out for you here. So let's wipe this off. This is just our brush cleaner. And let me show you some more. I'm really bad swatching with this arm, but that might just be the easiest venture right now. So let's go into, that's eyeshadows. That's not helpful. Let's go into lip and cheeks. And as promised, I'm going to swatch some more of our neutral shades for the lovers of brown neutrals. So this is gonna be Sadie. Let me show you this. Sadie's a gloss. It is one of the first ones that I got that I wore religiously on the lips. So it's just a little bit of contour, and Sadie, oh, so pretty. Let's see if I can swatch this any bit of good here. So this is Sadie. You'll see it's neutral, it's glossy, there's not a lot of color pigment. It is absolutely beautiful on the lips, and it will give you just a dewy flush on the cheeks. Then we have Summer Love, which is also going to be a neutral. So we have Sadie, and then we have Summer Love, which is going to lean a little bit more pink. Sadie has more brown, Summer Love has more pink. Also, obviously going to be a great lip shade. Now moving into this end of the palette is where we have more of our browns. So if you are fairer toned, a very nice neutral for you is going to be Ballerina. Ballerina is going to pull a little bit cooler, and it's going to have a little bit more depth to it. So there we have Ballerina. And then one step up from that in the neutral family is going to be Ibiza. And Ibiza is going to be your neutral with a little bit of pink. Then from there we have Nude, which is going to look like this. And then we have Plum. Now these are obviously moving into the berries, but not necessarily like mulberry. So Plum is going to be cooler. Then Nude is going to be more brown. Plum is going to be more purple. And then for those of you that like to stick in the more tawny family, this is going to be Rosewood, which will be more similar to Sandstone, but you'll see it has a little bit more purple, where Sandstone has a little bit more brick red. So when you're thinking about fall colors in those neutrals or the browns, now I think someone's outside cutting the grass. What's going on here? These are going to be, oh my gosh, there's an airplane right outside my window. Well, that's unexpected fun. So these are going to be more of our neutral and brown leaning lip and cheeks. We will definitely do berries and reds. You tell me what you want to see next. So if you're lovers of purple and you want to see more of the berries, you let me know. That'll be the next step. Let's finish off the lips. I thought a shade that would be really pretty for those of you that wanted the brown is going to be a Dulce. So we have a little bit of Sadie on right now. We contoured out the lip with Chai. Let's just grab, this is going to be, I think I want to go darker than Toffee. I'll show you though. So this is going to be Toffee. It's talking lip liner here. So you're going to see that one is more brown, very neutral. But I think I wanted to try Brownie, which is going to be a little deeper with Dulce. I'm going to go ahead and line, go into the inner corner. And as somebody who everything turns lip-wise, everything turns orange on me, this does not. It stays brown. I either need a really true brown or something that has like a mauvey pink undertone. And this one is really nice. It actually looks really pretty with Sadie. But I will show you, I mean, what I just have been wearing almost every day is either Dulce or Coco Marrow. And that would be our, like, finishing off that brown look. And I think it screams fall. What do you guys think? Do you love it? Look at all these. Oh my gosh. How am I gonna remember? Ow, just got my eye there. How am I gonna remember all of the color order to try and label these swatches? Now I have been trying and absolutely loving the Dibs dual-ended mascara. It has a black end and it has a brown end. And what I really have been enjoying is, you guys, I'm sorry, there is an actual, like, I think they're taking photos. There's a plane outside the window. So the brown end can be used on its own. And this is the second brown mascara I bought recently where I'm like, oh, I kind of am digging a brown mascara. Or you can layer it, put the black over top, and the brown can be your primer. So either way, I either do 2 layers of this brown or I layer the black on top. And I do find it does a really good job of separating, elongating, volumizing. They got me with their marketing of the 2-in-1, and I will say, I'm very picky with my mascara. I have itty bitty lashes, and this does a nice job. It's not too wet, it doesn't flake. And I feel like I have variety because I can do 2 coats of brown, or I can do 1 coat of brown and 1 coat of black to deepen it up. It is a weird looking stick, but like their products all have these like lines on them, so I guess it kind of goes with that theme, but I don't know, it looks weird to me. And then this brush is much more for volume, but it is one of those that the angle works where it does not get on my upper lid, which is typically like Saint's volumizing mascara gets all over the top of my lid because of the brush. So if you don't have a hooded eye, you probably don't have to worry about that. I know people love it. I like Saint's tubing mascara personally, but this has been a real treat for a 2-in-1. So if you guys need any links, let me know. If you need a color match, just let me know, and we will do this again soon in our berry tones to get you some swatches. Get you ready for the fall. And that's it, you guys. That's our final look. Whether you're going to a wedding and wanted to do like a more significant eye, if you want to pop on a bold lip, like you can kind of play with what do you want to be the focus of the look. And in this one, we definitely went eye. So I hope you guys found that helpful. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you again soon. Have a good weekend.